In January 2019, a day of terror gripped Nairobi. Gunfire and explosions ripped through the Dusit D2 complex. As chaos reigned, ordinary people scrambled for their lives. But amidst the fear, one man stood out. A civilian, armed only with a licensed firearm and immense courage, stepped into the line of fire. He was seen shielding people, guiding them to safety, and confronting the attackers head-on. Images of his bravery flashed across news channels. That day, Kenya celebrated him as a hero. His name was Dafton Mwitiki. But no one could have imagined that just 1 year later this very hero would vanish, swallowed by a mystery far darker than the terror he once faced. Welcome, and today we're unraveling a story that blurs the lines between hero and villain, justice and revenge. A story that starts with a brave act and ends with a chilling disappearance. This is the perplexing case of Dafton Mwitiki. Our story takes a sharp turn on January 13th, 2020. In a quiet, affluent home in Nairobi's Kileleshwa neighborhood, the granddaughter of a prominent politician, the late Mark II, was relaxing. Suddenly, the peace was shattered. 4 armed men stormed the house. They weren't there for jewels or electronics. They didn't utter a word about robbery. Their mission was cold and precise. They tied the young woman's hands, blindfolded her, and dragged her out to a waiting car before speeding off into the unknown. Minutes later, her parents' phones rang. The voice on the other end was chilling. "Send us 20 million shillings, it demanded, or we'll send you your daughter's body." Panic seized the family. The kidnappers had given them a strict warning: do not involve the police. But the two family had powerful connections. They were close to one of the most influential figures in Kenya, then President Uhuru Kenyatta. President Kenyatta personally ordered the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the DCI, to take over the case. But the kidnappers were professionals. They operated in the shadows, using untraceable phones and constantly changing their location, making them ghosts to the investigators. The clock was ticking. Desperate and fearing the worst, the family decided to negotiate directly with the abductors. After a series of tense, heart-pounding phone calls, the ransom was negotiated down from 20 million to 4 million shillings. The instructions were clear: cash, packed in a duffel bag, to be delivered to a discreet location near Maseno University. Under the cover of darkness, the drop was made. A masked figure emerged from the shadows, snatched the bag, and vanished. A short while later, the family received another call. Their daughter was alive. She was found abandoned in a nearby bush, shaken, terrified, but physically unharmed. With the girl safe, the DCI investigators could finally dig in. They began tracing the network of burner phones used during the abduction. They followed the digital breadcrumbs, hoping to find the mastermind. And as they unraveled the web, one of the phone numbers led them to a completely unexpected suspect. The investigators were stunned. Dafton wasn't your typical criminal. He was a respected figure, a licensed gun owner and a highly skilled marksman. As a prominent member of the National Gun Owners Association of Kenya, he had even represented the country at the 2019 International Defensive Pistol Association Shooting Championships in South Africa. He was also a successful businessman, the owner of a safari company called Beyond the Wild Safaris, and a popular restaurant in Kilimani's Galana Plaza. Why would a man like this be involved in a brutal kidnapping for ransom scheme? The DCI decided not to act immediately. The evidence was compelling, but the man's public profile was impeccable, so they waited. They watched. They put him under covert surveillance, waiting for him to make another move. And it didn't take long. Just over a month later, on February 22nd, 2020, another high-stakes abduction unfolded. A Chinese businessman, Gao Yuanhong, was in his electronics shop at China Center on Ngong Road. Suddenly, 4 men, again heavily armed, burst in. This time, they claimed to be DCI officers conducting an official operation. But their credentials were fake. They grabbed Gao, forced him into a Land Cruiser, and disappeared. The kidnappers took him to a hideout in the Dagoretti area and made their demand: a staggering 100 million shillings for his safe return. However, they underestimated the solidarity of the Chinese community in Nairobi. Their leader, William Zhuo, immediately reported the abduction to the authorities. This time, the response was swift and decisive. A special team was deployed, the Elite and Feared Special Service Unit, or SSU, a unit known for its ruthless efficiency in handling violent crime. As night fell over Dagoretti, the SSU, armed with intelligence, descended upon a house in Suntrack Estate. They surrounded the property, their presence a silent promise of what was to come. Gunfire suddenly erupted, shattering the night's quiet. The firefight was short and brutal, When the smoke cleared, 4 kidnappers lay dead. One of them, shockingly, was a serving police officer, revealing a deep-seated corruption within the ranks. And Gao Yuanhong was rescued, alive. As investigators processed the chaotic scene, they found a crucial piece of evidence. A vehicle was parked just outside the compound, seemingly connected to the abductors. When they ran the license plate, the system returned a familiar name, Dafton Mwitiki. The connection was no longer just a digital trace, it was physical. Forensic analysis of the kidnappers' phones confirmed it yet again. Dafton's number had been used to contact Gao's family to demand the ransom. From that moment on, Dafton Mwitiki was no longer just a person of interest. He was a marked man. The net was closing in, but before the authorities could make their move, the story took its final, most mysterious turn. On the evening of March 11th, 2020, Dafton Mwitiki left his office at Galana Plaza around 10 p.m. He got into his black Land Rover Discovery, presumably heading home to his family, but home was a destination he would never reach. What happened next is shrouded in mystery. It's believed that shortly after he drove off, unknown individuals joined him in his car. The vehicle was last seen driving off into the darkness of the Nairobi night. No one knows where it went or who was in control. The next morning, his Land Rover was found abandoned near a coffee farm in Juja, miles from his intended route. The doors were unlocked, the engine was cold, and the keys were missing. Nothing appeared to be stolen. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no broken glass. Just an empty car and a deafening silence. Dafton Mwitiki had vanished without a trace. Immediately, rumors began to fly. Some whispered that he had learned the police were closing in and had gone into hiding, using his resources to escape the country. But others speculated about a far more sinister possibility. They pointed fingers at the SSU, the same elite unit that had gunned down his alleged accomplices in Dagoretti. Had they decided to silence him for good, taking justice into their own hands? His family was distraught. They launched a frantic search, plastering missing posters with his face across Nairobi and pleading with the public for any information. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. But there was no sign of him. No ransom call, no body, no closure. It was as if he had been erased from existence. And then came the final, shocking twist in this saga. In late 2022, the newly elected President William Ruto disbanded the entire Special Service Unit. The reason? The SSU itself was under investigation for a wave of forced disappearances, abductions, and extrajudicial killings. The very unit that had hunted Dafton's kidnapper accomplices was now being held accountable for the same dark crimes they were meant to fight. The hunters had become the hunted. Many of its officers were arrested, facing charges for the very acts that people whispered had been Dafton Mwitiki's fate. To this day, the truth of what happened to Dafton Mwitiki remains one of Kenya's most haunting modern mysteries. Was he a hero who tragically fell into a world of crime? Or was he a complex figure, a master of deception living a double life? Was his disappearance an escape from justice, or a brutal act of street justice by a rogue police unit? All that's left is an empty Land Rover found on a lonely road, a family forever waiting for an answer, and a story that leaves us questioning where the line between hero and villain truly lies. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. If you found this story as compelling as we did, please hit that like button, and subscribe for more true crime mysteries from around the world. We'll see you in the next video.